either work in Glasgow or live in Glasgow, and we were desperate to be part of it. We put together a package explaining how we could go about producing them and how it could be done in Scotland, in Glasgow, designed by myself and made by a small group of internationally recognised makers. I was looking at circular movements in sport, and this idea of circles sort of intertwining and sort of coming in and coming out. Sort of gyroscopic was sort of on my mind, and that threw up loads of design possibilities. So rather than just having a solid block with two pieces of imagery on either side, it gave us opportunities to create an object with different layers, so you could really feel it when you held it. It was about the actual object rather than two series of different imagery on either side, if that makes sense. It was about trying to create a contrast between a rough cast, sort of sandblasted feel, and a really high mirror finished, polished edge. And the idea is it just catches the light in different ways. So you'll see, that edge catch the light on TV. The medals go through a very complicated 15-part process. They're sort of handmade, but they're also using digital processes. Increase the sort of man hours, and the only way that we work as sort of jewellers, and because we're a small team, is parts of it the old-fashioned way, just working the medals by hand. First of all, a wax is made in a mould, which is then cast into metal. They come out fairly rough, and then there's a process of cleaning them up from the rough through turning it so they're all perfectly round. Then soldering on the front and back logos before finishing and polishing. It also means that we've polished up the text, so the text will catch the light as well. We spent about 6 months trying out different things to make the text really perfectly crisp. We tried a lot of different ways of making that happen. The only way we could get it perfect was to 3D print it. So we're using a really high quality jewellery 3D printer. They take about 3 days to make each one, but that's sort of the fun of it, I think. For us it was about making something that had blood, sweat and tears, like athletes have when they train. Each medal, although it looks exactly the same, is different. There are slight differences, maybe by the way it was finished by one person or by another. So each one, although exactly the same, is completely different and completely unique. For me, it's an object that talks about Glasgow. It talks about that heritage, industrial heritage, and the fact that Glasgow is a city that does things in a different way. They don't look like what you'd expect a medal to look like, and in my head that's what a Glasgow medal should look like.